Hi, everyone. I want to do a mid-semester kind of a forward planning, quick review session update and go over a few housekeeping things. There have been a few questions about kind of schedule ahead, and I wanted to make sure and give those questions the time and the careful response that they deserve because you guys are asking important questions about schedule and planning for the rest of the semester and the weeks ahead. I did have to shift some dates around this past week and the week prior. And so I want to provide some clarification on that and be clear about what you can expect in the class from here moving forward so that you can plan your schedule and the rest of your academic workload and probably even some of your professional workload around what I expect from you between now and the rest of the semester. Overall, things are going very well. The writing is improving from essay to essay, from exam to exam. I am going to ask you to step it up slightly by making one adjustment to the exam format. The format really will stay the same. I'm going to ask you to, I usually don't do this until exam 4, but I think you guys are ready for it. With exam 3 that will be just around the corner, I'm going to simply ask you to up the sentence responses from 3 per question to 4 per question. And I'm going to ask you to specifically read the plan and or section diagram that is up on the slide next to an image of the building, either an exterior or an interior image of the building. And I'm going to ask you to sort of do a close read of the plan or the section and identify an element in the plan or section for me. Not too difficult. Just one more sentence. Many of you are writing 4, 5, 6, 7 sentences in each of your responses. So I don't imagine that will be an insurmountable challenge for you. And certainly the quality of the writing that I'm seeing already is showing that you are prepared for it. Let's see. Let me explain something about the week past and then get into the week forward. Some of you asked, you probably saw, you received a 100 out of one, or you received the 100%, which was a 75-point essay, 75 out of 75 on essay number 3. Part of the reason I did that is because it was set to be due on Thursday, but the lecture I had posted on Tuesday had a problem where I accidentally tapped the microphone, and from minute 20 until minute 63 or however long that lecture was, the audio didn't come through, which is unfortunate. My mistake. I did repost the balance of that lecture yesterday. But because of the loss of the couple days, I didn't feel it was fair to ask you to write an essay on a lecture that you hadn't heard the completion of. So I basically just waived that requirement, and rather than zero the exam out from the grade book, I just gave everybody a 100%, a little bit of a boost to your grade there. Let's see. There was one more thing looking back that I wanted to cover. Oh, yes, one more thing. So I'm also trying to get a little bit more organized about how I curate the lectures. You know that I'm using YouTube to kind of be the repository of the video lectures. Part of that is because I ran out of space on the drive on Canvas. In the beginning of the semester, you noticed I was posting the lectures directly as .mov files or AVI files to Canvas, but I quickly ran out of space there, so I moved to posting them on YouTube. The thing I just did is I actually created a, what's the term? A playlist. I created a playlist for this class specifically, Arch15b, Fresno City College. I'll post the link with this lecture. So in the announcement where this lecture is linked, there will be a link directly to the playlist. So you can just subscribe to that playlist and know when I've uploaded new content. And so look for that. That'll be where you'll see all the lectures from now on. I'll continue to post on Canvas and let you know that a new lecture is available, but look for that option. And there was one more thing, actually, what I wanted to offer, and you guys can just comment on this announcement. So through Canvas, where this lecture is, just reply on the comments field and let me know if this is something you would like to take advantage of. I'm willing to host kind of a live session if anybody has any questions, any kind of course specifics that you want to ask that you haven't asked already, anything about a prior grade, anything about a building or work of architecture that you want some more clarification on, or something you're curious about and you want some more resources. Comment on the reply on this announcement and let me know if you prefer first let me know if you prefer to have for me to host a live session at some point over the next couple weeks. And if so, if you prefer that to be during the week or weekday, I can accommodate either way. It's not a problem. Okay, so what I want to do is give you a sense of what to expect from here forward. And if you're following along with the text or doing your own supplemental online reading and research, I want you to be able to know what time periods and what movements in architecture we're going to be studying, and be a little bit more, even more concrete with the dates moving forward. And I apologize. One more thing, looking back, I have completed grading all of your essay number 2s. I haven't completed grading your exam number 2s yet, but I will do that before the end of the day, Sunday. So depending on when you're watching this lecture, the grade may already be updated on Canvas. Okay, so starting the week of March 27th, you can expect 2 lectures, really, as has been the case. 2 lectures per week is what I aim for. Lecture 09A will be on the Baroque, and we'll look at Borromini and Bernini, as well as Carlo Moderna and some of the other amazing Baroque architects. And then we'll land at the end of the week with lecture 09B with the late Baroque, which is essentially the kind of culmination of the Renaissance. And we'll study St. Peter's and the various architects that were involved in making this masterpiece a reality. So that'll be the week of March 27th. We'll be basically looking at the 18th century through the 19th century. On Thursday, opening up on Thursday, and you will have through Saturday, will be the exam on the Baroque period. That'll be where the slightly additional requirements come into play, where if from 3 sentences, you're going to go to 4 sentences per response. And I'm going to specifically ask you to read the plan or the section that's on screen associated with the building image and tell me something specific about that: nave, transept, side aisle, masonry construction, concrete construction, dome profile, whatever. Draw from any of the vocabulary that we've studied so far, or that I've touched on in the lectures. So that'll be, we'll open up Thursday morning, and you'll have until midnight Saturday to complete that exam. That'll be exam number 3 on the Baroque. So we'll get into Borromini. And then from Baroque, the week of April 3rd will be lecture 10 on the Enlightenment and the turn in the Renaissance to the idea of sort of scientific pursuits of higher knowledge, kind of the start to split away from the idea of the religious as being the ultimate, and shifting the idea to the sciences or the mathematics or the known knowledge as being the sort of ultimate pursuit. We'll study Newton's cenotaph, Etony Louis Boulez, which you're looking at here. So that'll be the week of April 3rd. That'll be lecture 10A, so covering a time period of about 1750 through 1800, and that's associated with chapter 14. And then lecture 10B, we will get into neoclassicism. So again, a sort of another shift in architectural movement, but a shift again to kind of hit the reset button and go back again to classics. You can see here, this is Schinkel's Altes Museum in Berlin. And a lot of what he's doing is basically going back to the classical ideas, the orders, the column, the portico, the flat roof, the column actually bearing load, because at this point we've gone away with the Baroque, with the late Baroque, kind of high Renaissance. There's so much playfulness, and we've gone away from things like a column actually bearing load capacity. We start using a column as decoration. And so in the neoclassical work, we're seeing Schinkel and his contemporaries basically go back to the functional and the original intent of classic architecture. So it's a little bit of a hitting the reset button, as you've seen multiple times. So it's a repeat of the same thing, but it's going to result in architecturally something a little bit different. So that's the week of April 3rd, lecture 10B, parallel with chapter 15. I'm teaching from chapter 15 there. From there, we'll move into the Beaux-Arts movement. This is the week of April 10th, so there will be 2 lectures the week of April 10th. Lecture 11A will focus on the Beaux-Arts, 1850 until about 1890. This is Musée d'Orsay in Paris, France. The Industrial Revolution has happened. We're going to start to see new, fresh materials. You're going to start to see steel and glass used a lot more. So that's the beginning of the Beaux-Arts movement, which starts in Europe, like most everything that we've studied so far has. But then we'll shift over to the Americas and see how the Beaux-Arts movement lands here. And really takes hold and launches really the City Beautiful movement across America. You're looking at the Met Museum here in New York, which is Richard Morris Hunt originally, but also the extension we'll study by McKean White. We'll get into Daniel Burnham, and really it'll be the first time you're learning about the American architects of the 19th and early 20th centuries. So that'll be week of April 10th, lecture A, Beaux-Arts, lecture B, Beaux-Arts, focusing really on the Americas. So that's parallel with chapter 16. You will have an exam the week of April 4th. So again, the same format. I'll open the exam on Thursday morning. You'll have until Saturday. Let me check that date just a moment, because I do have to work around spring break, and I'm not going to assign work specifically over spring break. Okay, so April 10th, if I post those 2 lectures, okay, so the exam on the Beaux-Arts will obviously follow the lectures on the Beaux-Arts, and you'll either have both of those lectures posted right before spring break or during spring break, but I won't require you to complete the exam, obviously, during that vacation period. You may see that being assigned the Monday we get back from spring break, and I will give you the same 3 days to complete that exam. So check on that. I will update Canvas as soon as I'm done with this lecture with that date. But expect exam 4 to be on the Beaux-Arts. Expect those lectures to be posted either immediately before your spring break or during your spring break, and you can watch them when you get back from your spring break and complete the exam right afterwards. Okay, that takes us to April 17th, the week of April 17th, and that's when we're going to get into modernism. So that will be lectures 12A and 12B the week of April 17th. 12A will focus on the beginning of modernism, really 1880 until about 1930. This is chapters 18 and bridging into 19. Vegas Factory, Walter Gropius is one of the sort of birth where modernism is born to large part. We'll study that and the turbine hall, AEG turbine hall. Lecture 12B will focus on, so kind of like the Beaux-Arts, we'll look at where it starts in Europe, but then we'll see when it kind of crosses over the Atlantic and lands in the Americas. Same thing with modernism. With Vegas Factory, Germany and Europe is really the birthplace of modernism, but then it takes like wildfire in the United States. So we'll study the Lever House, Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, and really the American, how modernism comes to America, and what the American version of modernist architecture looks like. Also bridging chapters 18 and 19, 1930 through 1970. So that's the week of April 17th. The week of April 24th, lectures 13A and 13B will be on postmodernism, so late modernism, the end period of modernism, which to a large degree is a response to modernism. And that'll be 1970 until about 1990. 1917 until about 1990. So we'll see kind of the late work of modernism and the transition into postmodernism. This is Lucan, the Kimball Art Museum. We'll study this building. This is the interior of Kimball Art Museum. And then we'll get into postmodernism. This is Michael Graves and the Portland building. And the sort of playfulness that postmodernism brings, the kind of tongue-in-cheek attitude towards architecture and really towards classical architecture. So we'll study that the week of April 24th, 13A, 13B, again, postmodernism, Jim Sterling, 1 Poultry Street. You can kind of see it's the formality, the classical notion. It's all out the window now. It's about kind of playfulness and rhetoric and reference and kitsch to a large degree. We'll study the duck during this time period. We'll study the decorated shed. We'll look at the Frank Gehry's examples of postmodernism with the binoculars, which is now, I think, Google headquarters in Los Angeles, in Venice. From there, we will shift from April 24th, the next week of May 1st. We will get into the contemporary architectural time period, which I have here listed as 1980, but will reach probably as far back as the late 60s or the 1970s. We'll study the Pompidou Centre, Richard Rogers and Renzo Piano in Paris, France, where really the idea of the architects, this is a competition that they win, where they early 80s, I believe, where they basically come up with the idea of taking all of the systems of the building and actually putting them on the outside so that the museum can have free, clear span, large, uninterrupted interior spaces for the museum curators and the gallerists to really have a lot of freedom on what they do on the inside, and to kind of celebrate the mechanics and the building system by basically putting it in its prominent position on the outside. Anyway, we'll get into it a little bit more deeper during the lecture. In this lecture, we'll get into Frank Gehry, we'll get into the Bilbao Museum, and really the avalanche that starts architecturally. So this is May 1st. We'll look at Foreign Office Architects, Yokohama Terminal, which is a seminal project, very important project that changed things in the way we design and build, parametric design, construction. And then we'll end in about the early 2000s, maybe the mid 2000s, with the Snøhetta's Oslo Museum, and a myriad other contemporary versions of architecture that I look forward to showing you. All of that is effectively leaving the week of May 8th open, which I typically like to use those lecture times for review for the final. What I have done in the past, and I will do again this year, is when we are preparing that week for final review, I will go back and I will know the 16 or 17 projects from the duration of the entire semester that I feel are the most important for you to know as you move forward in your architectural education. We'll spend those 2 lectures doing a review and maybe even a slightly more in depth analysis of those, like I said, 15 or 16 works of architecture. From those, you can expect 4 to be on the final exam, of which I expect you to be able to identify certainly one of those 4 and write intelligently about it for your final exam. So the format will be the same. I won't change the format for the final exam. And that's it. And that'll get us to the week of May 15th, which is basically the final week. Same format. I'll give you 3 days to complete that final exam, and you will have completed this course. So I truly look forward to the rest of this semester, because it's, for me, the funnest time period, starting with Borromini and Bernini and the Baroque, and then really ending with modernism and the contemporary. So I certainly will have a lot of fun giving lectures. I hope you enjoy looking at the work. I hope you've been inspired so far. I think you'll actually really like the work even more moving forward. If you have any questions and I haven't covered anything that you need to know between now and the end of the semester, again, like I said, comment on the announcement here that's posted on Canvas. Let me know if you would like me to do a live Zoom session open to all students, where you can really ask anything that matters to you related to this exam, related to this course. And if yes, let me know if you prefer it to be a weekday or a weekend live session. Thank you. I'll see you soon with the lecture on the Baroque.